Hey guys, TSW here with another 4.3 PTR video, this time in Hour of Twilight. Now I apologise for the late release on this video, however hopefully I'll be able to make up for it with an awesome kick-ass video. So here we go. Archbishop is the first boss in Hour of Twilight and it's quite a pushover actually. She will do a Hand of Frost ability which is pretty much spammed throughout the encounter. This can be pummeled, spell reflected, interrupted by any other ability, however you can't stun the boss so charges and intercept won't work. She also does Chains of Frost which will encase you in chains, meaning that you can't move, which on its own wouldn't be too much of an issue, but she also has icy boulders raining from the skies from her frozen servitors. So she's got help from minions above, throwing boulders on you, and you have to run out of them. Luckily, there's a very handy, massive circle that appears under your character for when these boulders are on its way. So just move out the circles and you will not ever get hit by the boulders. But bear in mind that when you are chained with the Chains of Frost ability, you will be taking damage from the boulders as you can't move from them. She also has an ability called Icy Tomb, which will encase Thrall, who's helping you in this encounter. Basically, Thrall will get encased in ice and you need to swap to the target, as you can see here. He's encased in ice, we need to swap to him and DPS him down. Because essentially what Thrall does is, I'm not really sure what he does. He just spams the boss, so he does a little bit of extra damage on the boss, but apparently it's like worded in the dungeon journal that he'll stop like more minions from throwing boulders. So I believe that if Thrall is encased for too long, more and more minions will spawn, and then you'll get more and more boulders. As you can see, as the fight progresses, we are having to dodge a lot more boulders. And to top it all off, sub 30% she will cast Torment of Frost, dealing 20,000 frost damage every second to everyone in the party, as well as reducing their movement speed by 50%. As you can see in the top left hand corner, we don't really take that much damage, so don't worry too much about it. However, you will want to pop all forms of cooldowns to survive this phase, as well as nuking the boss down very quickly. We didn't have any problems at all with this phase, and is easily controllable. And generally speaking, it's a very simple encounter. Just make sure you step out the boulders and also free Thrall. You get your epic 378 loot from this boss, as well as a nice little animation as the wall gets destroyed by Thrall. Oh my god, look at that lava burst! The wall goes down. Now let's see it again in super slow-mo. Okay, that's a little bit lame. Okay, next boss. So now we're on the second of 3 bosses in Hour of Twilight, Asria Dawnslayer. Now, if you're easily offended, I would highly recommend looking away, because they're just a red dragonflight drake circling around, and the bitch jumps on top of the drake and slays him. I mean, what did that drake ever do to her? I mean, oh god. And I just fucking Leroy Jenkins in on that bitch. Fuck me, you can't kill any red dragonflight drakes from TSWs around. So yeah, back to the guide. Asria does a Mark of Silence debuff on a random party member. This will do nothing at first, however if you are hit by the next ability, Throw Knife, you'll be silenced for 2.5 seconds, as well as take 10k physical damage. So you'll always take the physical damage of the Thrown Knife, however you will only get silenced if you are under the influence of a Mark of Silence debuff. And being a rogue, of course, she does fucking smoke bombs, except these aren't your ordinary smoke bombs. These are Asria Dawnslayer fucking smoke bombs. They are actually choking smoke bombs, so, you know, smoke bombs V2, essentially. What they do is just damage, move her out of them, move yourself out of them, hunky-dory, awesome. They'll last for 40 seconds, just don't stand in them, it's pretty obvious. Big hump of smoke doing damage to you, yeah, move out. So we've all come to terms with Asria being a hunter, a rogue, she's a rogue, yeah? Why the shit does she have a deterrence ability? She's got Blade Barrier and Lesser Blade Barrier. Essentially these work exactly as deterrence, except when you hit over 35k in the Blade Barrier, it will get rid of it. Exactly the same with the Lesser Barrier, except the threshold is 25,000. So it's a stupid ability really. If you've got people who can hit hard, it goes away instantly, but if you've got really bad DPS, it may be there for a global or two. Either way, really, really easy boss. Also something to note down, after the first boss on the way and including the second boss, Asria Dawnslayer, Thrall will drop Rising Fire Totems. What these will do is increase your damage, and they do stack. The totems last 30 seconds and increase your damage by, I think, 30% or haste by 30%. Something by 30%. The buff lasts 8 seconds and it continues as totems do, and they stack when he lays down more than once. Other than that, Thrall just uses healing waves on himself and lava burst to deal damage. So finally, we're on Archbishop Benedictus. He has a few abilities, so let's get through them pretty quickly. First of all, he does a smite, interrupt it as best you can. He'll also do a righteous shear, which will be a circle of AoE holy damage. Make sure you stand out of this. These are summoned by purifying light, 3 balls which are summoned above the boss's head. Thrall in his wisdom will use chain lightning to destroy 2 of them. But there'll obviously be 1 left, which will cause the righteous shear. Make sure you stand out of it and make sure you are spread, because if you do get 2 overlapping and you're getting attacked by both of them, it becomes very unhealable. As you'll see, by just 1 shear, the priest goes very, very low, and it also does a knockback effect. There's also a purifying blast on melee, inflicting 80,000 holy damage to everyone within 6 yards. There will also be a wave of virtue, which will do 100,000 damage. What you want to do is get into the water shell cast by Thrall, or avoid it like our priest does on the left hand side. The shell does increase damage by 100%, so for damage in tanks, please get in the shell. However, if you're a healer like our priest on the left hand side, you do not need to get in the shell, as long as you avoid the wave by standing out of its range. And then once it hits 60%, he'll go into his shadow phase, essentially doing exactly the same, except Thrall will be CC'd, and obviously it's shadow damage, being his shadow phase. So, with Thrall being out of the picture, he will not be able to cast his chain lightning, so we'll have 3 now Twilight shears, essentially exactly the same as the righteous shears, except they are now shadow damage. So make sure you spread, because again, if you are stacked up and take double damage by 2 overlaying Twilight shears, you will die. So watch out for that. Make sure you are spread. And also, he'll do his wave of Twilight, essentially the same as wave of Virtue. As you can see there's a nice empty spot on the right hand side of the platform, so we all stand there quite obviously, and we kill the boss. The only time you're going to wipe to this boss is if you're hugging during the Twilight shear. Additionally, make sure you all stood well away from the wave of Twilight. Again, the Twilight shear is going to be the purple circles on the floor. Make sure you spread out, because if you are stood together during the circles, you will take double damage. And you saw the righteous shear at the beginning and saw how much damage that did on the priest, so make sure you spread out at all costs, and you should have yourself a kill. Just make sure everyone knows the mechanics before you pull, and it's a very straightforward fight. If you like this video on my guide for Heroic Hour of Twilight, please thumbs it up. If you're not subscribed as well and you want to see more from me, please hit the subscribe button. I've been TSW, I'll catch you guys later, and those shoulders still look ridiculous.